It is your witchy friend Grace from Small Worlds Big Adventures with a little Spooktober announcement before a review of the spooky board game Mysterium. This week and next week, we'll be giving away a game from our personal collection. This week's game is Forbidden Island, a razor-edge cooperative board game about hunting for treasures on a seeking island. To qualify, you must live in the United States and comment on at least one video this week, October 15th through the 21st. We'll then randomly choose a winner from the comments. Also, everyone who comments throughout the month, the 1st through the 30th, will be entered for a brand new copy of Horrified, a maddening cooperative board game with iconic monsters. We will announce the winner by commenting on one of the person's comments and announce on each Sunday's video who has won. The more videos you comment on, the greater your chance to win, so let us know your thoughts on each game. Hi, I'm Gracie, and this is Scott with Small Worlds Big Adventures, building community through gaming, and today we're going to talk about Mysterium.
Mysterium is a game for 2 to 7 players. It plays in 42 minutes.
Or so the box says.
So the box says. Cost is $55. I assume on Amazon. Setup, breakdown, at least 15 minutes. It's got a lot of stuff when you pull it out of the box, especially for setup. That takes a while to get going, especially if you haven't played in a while.
Or you haven't played in a while, and it was a brand new box.
And you hadn't opened the box before, as it turns out. The game is
asymmetrical.
Sure, an asymmetrical game. It's a cooperative game where one person is a ghost, the other players are psychics, and the ghost communicates with the psychics by giving them cards of pictures that hint at a murder mystery. They need to just find who committed the murder, where the murder took place, and with what. And if they can guide everyone in the time limit, then everybody wins together or everybody loses together. There is kind of more of a competitive version if you have more players, because you can get points as you go along by getting it quicker and the like. That is pretty much how Mysterium plays.
Yeah. And since this game has to do with psychics and ghosts stories, we're curious, do you guys believe in ghosts? I am a skeptical believer. I think it can happen, but that ghost is going to have to scare me themselves. Versus Scott, who is just pure old skeptic.
Yeah.
For those of you who are Ghost Files fans, I would be a Bugara and you would be a Shaniac. When we review games, we use a 5-point scale, starting with terrible, bad, mixed, good, and excellent. And to kick it off, we'll talk about player agency, which I felt is bad. And it's not bad in the detriment to the game bad, but the players, especially the psychic players, don't have a lot of say in what cards they give, what order of clues they get. They just are given these abstract visions and can hopefully connect the dots.
Yeah, I went with mixed for the agency, mainly because the agency in this is basically by design. There just isn't a lot of options to the game, because basically what you're doing is trying to pick something using clues. And there isn't a board that you're walking around on. There aren't side things that you're doing, playing cards into or anything like that. You're just literally, you get some clues and then you get to make a choice. So you don't get to, you're not technically doing a lot of stuff, but that's also kind of just what the game is. And I think mixed maybe works a little bit better than just bad.
That's fair. Mechanics, I think, are good. You have the ghost, who more often than not is Scott, who gives you these premonitions, and then based on those, you have to guess which of the potential suspects or places or murder weapons it could be. And I think it plays pretty well with those mechanics.
Yeah, I agree. The mechanics are good. Kind of, as we said, there's not a lot of gameplay there beyond here's what your clues are, make a choice. Once you get the right choice, then you move on to the next set of clues and the next set of choices. But it all works for what the game is.
Yeah. Components. I think are really good. Not excellent. But I think what stops them from being excellent is some of the more complex pieces, like the clock. Don't stay stuck together.
Yeah, that's literally what I was thinking too.
Otherwise, it would be excellent.
It is the components probably fall just a little bit short.
A little short.
A little bit more thought into how the cardboard pieces fit together and stuff like that.
I don't know why they didn't think people would pick up the clock like this.
A little bit more thought would have probably made the components excellent.
Yeah.
The way the other pieces are designed and like move together work real well. The ghost gets a screen
the screen is very nice.
Screen off what they're doing, and that works pretty good. They get ravens that are a special ability that kind of don't fit on their great. They work, and that's kind of it. Just a couple of points the components fall just short of excellent, but they are good. They're really good components.
I will say just like a personal like annoyance of mine is you have the suspect cards, the location cards. They're a size, and then the weapon cards are teeny tiny.
Well, they're little. They're not. They're little cardboard tokens.
Yeah.
For some reason, and I don't know if it's just because there aren't that many of them. I'm not really sure why they went.
I don't know
that route.
Just make them all the same size.
Yeah, it was a little. That's a little bit weird. I will say, again, on the good side, you have the clue cards. You have two different sizes of them, and they work great because the ghost needs to remember what clues have been given out and stuff. So they have, or for the murderers and the stuff is what they have, and they work pretty good. You want to make sure that area is lit though, because they can be a little dark and hard to see. So
not that anyone has old person sight going.
No, not at all.
Theming mixed in the sense of like that you're psychics and the ghost is trying to tell you about their murder, but the ghost is confused and tells you about 3 murders.
So that's exactly what I was going to say too, was the conceit is the ghost is trying to help these psychics figure out who murdered them, but in the path to that, every psychic is given a different murder setup, and then after everyone, or if everyone figures their murder setup correctly, then the ghost remembers, oh, this specific one was my murder, and then they have to help them. They have to use clues to help them figure that one out.
It just makes you like wonder what that ghost was doing that night that it saw 3 murders, including its own.
Yeah, the theming is just a little bit off,
tangential, like yes, but not quite.
But to be fair, the game is kind of supposed. They kind of mentioned this in the instructions. You're kind of supposed to play it in like a darkened room with like candles. The ghost is never supposed to talk to you. He's only ever supposed to answer by knocking on the table if anybody, and you're not really supposed to ask them many questions anyways. And we kind of never really play that way. So if you get a group that's having fun doing that, maybe you'd really enjoy the theming. Yeah, I agree. The theming in this was a little bit mixed.
Enjoyability though is good.
It's good.
It's very, very good.
I've never disliked playing.
No,
it's a fun play.
Yeah,
pretty much beginning to end.
If somebody was like, "Hey, you want to play Mysterium?" Easy, yes.
Yeah.
Along with that, his mother, not a huge board game person, saw us playing it, wanted to play.
Yeah.
So that should say something.
That's why we ended up picking it up.
Yep. Kind of my final thoughts around it is this is a delightfully frustrating game because, again, the ghost and the psychics can't really talk, and so all you're given are these like ambiguous pictures. And like these pictures are from fever dreams. Like you'll be like, what the heck is going on in this? And then you're trying to like tie it to similarities with the cards on the table. And so the ghost can't control what he pulls for his hand or her hand. And we don't control what we get. So there is this like frustrating, like, what could you be trying to tell us? But it is in a fun way, not in a unfun way, at least in my opinion. I wish there wasn't a time limit. You have this clock and you have so many hours for everyone to solve their murder, for you to have a chance to solve the ghost murder. And I mean, sometimes like between the cards that the ghost draws and whether or not you're making the right connections, you may not move through all the clues quickly enough. And you have to do that for anyone to guess what the right one is.
Yeah, I will push back on that a little bit, mainly because that is kind of just the challenge of the game. Otherwise, without changing some of the rules, you can just sit there and guess a different card every turn.
Sure.
Which kind of happens anyways, especially if you have no idea what your clues mean. You just pick a different one every time until you get the right one. But also, as some players move along, their choices get pulled out of the pool, so it's a little bit easier for the other person to kind of catch up.
Yeah. And then I wish there were more cards. Once you've played through the game a few times, you see the same images over and over again. And so it's like Cards Against Humanity.
Yeah, kind of.
You just a little more variety.
It's a pretty big deck, though.
It is a big deck.
But yeah, once you've played a few times, you will be seeing repeats quite a bit.
What are your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are, crazy art, crazy cards. It works on kind of a couple of different levels. One, because they just kind of seem like fever dreams that maybe a psychic would be
legitimately receiving. Yes.
So sure, yeah. And also just the art for the clue cards are just crazy things.
Very good art, like beautiful cards.
Yeah. Again, components just short of excellent.
Yeah.
I also said can be frustrating, but not so much in a good way. Like generally, it's kind of fine, but it can just be. It can hit the point of frustrating that isn't a challenge. It's just you don't know what to do.
Yeah.
And that's on both sides. Again, the ghost only gets 7 cards per turn to try and hand out his clue, or 7 cards basically per person, trying to give out clues. And if they can't figure out anything that really applies, it gets frustrating. And then if you get a clue that just doesn't seem to mean anything, same thing. It's just frustrating.
Yeah.
And sometimes not in a good way. Sometimes it's fine, but sometimes not in a good way. I will say, I think my final takeaway is ultimately after playing a number of times and losing a couple of those times to the time limit, the game basically just works.
It does.
Even with the clock running out, generally we've gotten in just under the wire, which is, for a game pretty good. It means that they've balanced that generally pretty decently. The clues can be crazy and hard to decipher, but you get more and more of them every turn. And as you've made your choices, you'll know that those choices can't be made, and eventually you'll get it. If you do that too many times, then you'll run out of time and be out. But the game basically just works.
Yeah. If you like the game Simlio, which is where you have a bunch of cards laid out and one person gives hints by placing other cards down to indicate whether it's similar or dissimilar. This could be your vibe. If you like the crazy art on the cards, then Dixie has a very similar vibe too, in that someone gives a clue and then you have to match this crazy artwork card to hopefully get points. And then Psychic Pizza.
Yeah, which we will have reviewed as well.
Yeah.
In that you've got one person that's kind of sort of guiding the other people, although in that one they're mostly just telling you what you find. Yeah. Another good one probably actually would have been, is it Code Phrases?
Oh yeah, Code Words.
Code Words, because you've got somebody who's trying to guide you to the proper things using vague clues, in a different sense, but that'd probably be a good one too.
Yeah, so if you like any of those games, this is definitely worth a try. But honestly, even if you've never played any of those games, I think we would say it's worth a try.
Yeah.
If you liked hearing our review, go ahead and hit that like button. If you want to see more videos that are board game reviews or gamekeeper tips or just anything really gaming related, you can go ahead and hit subscribe. If you hit the notification bell, you'll be notified next time we upload.
Hit like and subscribe.
No.
Thumbs down. Anything you don't like.
Don't do that.
Follow somebody else's page.
No.